How are you today?
I'm really good, Bernie. Thank you for having me here.
Well, thanks for joining me on the rooftop. It's such a beautiful environment.
It is, right?
Something is burning at the background, so
welcome in Sri Lanka.
Great. Well, I wanted to actually grab you just to have a small chat with you, just to know and learn a little bit about you, about your journey, and see what brought you to Sri Lanka, what brought you to yoga as well. So it would be great to learn a little bit about your story.
Wow, yeah, it's like, where do I start actually? But I will try to keep it short. Like, to answer your first question, why Sri Lanka? It goes a little bit back towards, actually it's a pretty sad story, I have to tell, because my dad died in Sri Lanka, and I only found out when my mom died too, that he died at the Full Moon Resort on the Maldives after a trip in Sri Lanka. And the moon has always been like really important in our family, and when he died, I thought like I would never go there. I didn't want to go there. And then through my mom, we found out that he died at the Full Moon Resort, and that was like a trigger for me, like, but then I have to go because the moon is so important to us in the family. And that's when I started to travel to Sri Lanka and found out about surfing and started surfing.
It was because of the surf, not because of the yoga then?
It was because of the surf, actually, yeah. I wanted to try, I wanted to try to like do because my dad wrote a diary of his trip in Sri Lanka with my mom and to the Maldives. And then when I found out that I wanted to go, I actually wanted to do their trip through the diary. But in combination with, because I always wanted to learn how to surf. I had like one day in Australia once where I was surfing, and then I had in the back of my mind like, one day I'm gonna be a surfer, and this was the perfect combination to combine the trip with my longing to learn how to be a surfer.
That's amazing. Right. And what about yoga? Like, when did you start?
I don't actually know exactly what age I was, but I started as a gymnastic girl and a ballerina, which is actually a weird combination because gymnastics is like really stiff, strong, and ballet is like really long, but I liked the both of them. And then through injuries and an accident, I had to give up both. Actually, ballet, because I really wanted to go to the academy, but they already saw there that I was growing too tall, so they were like, no, you're never gonna be.
I always thought that ballerina is supposed to be tall, no?
Yeah, but not longer than back then. In the days, it was like you can't be taller than 1 meter 75 centimeters, something like that.
Okay. Is it because of the guy?
I think so, yeah, because they need to lift you. So if you're like a longboard over there, then yeah, it's a little bit hard. So they already told me like, no, that's not going to be like professional ballet dancer. And then through the injuries and the accident, the gymnastic part stopped as well. And then I was actually trying to find something that got my passion again, because both ballet and the gymnastic part, I felt so passionate about it. And then one day my mom just said to me like, hey, why don't you try yoga? There's a new yoga teacher in the village. So, and I went and I fell in love instantly. So since then, I think I was about maybe 15 years old, something like that.
Right. And then probably you started practicing yoga for a while, and then when did you do your first yoga teacher training?
Well, that was a long time after, because yoga was in my life like a continuous thing, but sometimes I practiced it like 3-4 times a week, going to classes, doing my own practice. And then I went to university, and then yoga was somewhere in the background, but probably the timing wasn't that good, because like when I think back of university, I think like I should have done yoga more It's the way it goes, like it's up and down, up and down. And not until I went back to Sri Lanka for surfing and I met the yoga again, but in a totally different combination with the surfing, and I could like really experience how beneficial yoga was to the surfing, but also the other way around. Like surfing can be really beneficial to your yoga practice as well.
How is that?
The surfing yoga, you mean?
Yes.
Like surfing is you have to let go of everything. Like I could be a pretty perfectionist. I had to let that go when I started surfing. I had to trust the universe. I had to trust the ocean, that it was giving me waves, that it was safe, and that helped me actually like a lot in the practice with yoga. For example, meditation. Like more being trustful, like, okay, I am exactly where I need to be right now, and whatever the universe is offering me, I embrace it. It's here. It's supposed to be here probably. So yeah, probably the surf yoga combination is the mental thing that helped me a lot. The other way around, yoga is so good for your surf practice. Like it keeps you flexible, it gives you strength, it gives you balance, focus.
So for all surfers, yoga is the way to go, like to sort
I
of
would say, yeah.
get to the next level of the practice.
I would say, if you like it, because that's the thing, like, I always feel like if you can do something out of a passionate feeling, then it always works for you. So, yeah, definitely yoga can be really, really beneficial for surfers and for a lot of sporters, actually, like also people that run. Yeah, I think it, like yoga, the main part about yoga is, I think, it keeps your spine flexible and healthy, and when your spine is flexible and healthy,
then everything is
else
good.
is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, big time.
Everything is good. Yeah.
Big time. What would you say if someone wants to become a yoga teacher? I think we talked about this before as well. What would be your biggest advice before and after?
Before and after, yes. Well, for sure, you have to do a yoga teacher training, not only to dive deep into the asana practice. With the 200 hours, you get a little bit of pranayama practice. But it's good to know, to experience yourself, like what it is to be in a asana. What does it do with your body? What does it do with your mind? How can you work with it? So yeah, first of all, get a nice yoga teacher training. And then after the yoga teacher training, make sure you have your own practice. So try to practice every day. Every morning, every evening, whatever fits for you, and try to start teaching as fast as possible. As fast as possible. Gather your friends, your old students, whatever.
Just keep doing it. Yeah.
Keep doing it, because the longer the period between the yoga teacher training and the time you start teaching, the bigger. I think for me it was like I wanted to do it straight away, and I think the first 10, maybe 15, maybe 20 classes were awful in my mind. Like, I was so like, okay, I have to focus on the asanas, and I have to do it perfect, and I have to do it like this and that.
And then you are tense, yeah? And
you're
whole
so
yoga
tense. You're so tense, and you forget everything about your breathing, how to work with it,
but you forget to say things what you're supposed to say.
But people don't know it. When they're in your class, they don't know it. So slowly you build your own teaching abilities. And then at one point, it's like you don't have to think about it anymore. You don't have to think about the words. You don't have to think about the sequence.
When did that come to you?
I think I started teaching right away, and then I started teaching like almost every day, like 6 days in a week. And I went to yoga classes myself to get inspiration. I watched YouTube videos. My biggest help was actually like the words and the sentences that triggered me. I wrote it down. Like if something triggered me with inhaling, exhaling, the words they were saying, like in a forward fold, it's the perfect time to let your thoughts go, get, you know, like that kind of stuff. Everything that triggered me, I just wrote down, and I read it over and over and over and over again, just to get like a basic sequencing in sentences. That helped me a lot.
I think that's the toughest when it comes to being a teacher, what to say, how to actually teach in a way that it's enjoyable. It's sort of a meditation as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it should be an hour sort of meditating practice, and again we spoke about this as well, like the voice is as important as
definitely
as
definitely yeah, the voice, the accent, everything can trigger people in a way, positive and negative, and that's the way it is. And I think, like, you know, if you're doing it out from your heart and you're giving your best, and there will always be people that don't like your classes, and there will be people that will love it, and there will be people that walk out the class with like no expression on their face, and then you will be thinking like, oh my gosh, this was such
Probably
a bad
horrible
class. And then the next week they come back and they will say like, that was one of the best classes ever, or wow, you planted so much beautiful seeds, and I'm so thankful. So
I think that's what I learned as well when I started to go to classes, to actually give positive feedback to the teacher. Because when I studied as well, I was like, it's so nice to actually get positive feedback.
it is.
So I always make sure that I speak to the teacher, and whether it's yoga or HIIT or any other class, and if it was a good class, the teacher needs to know it was a good class, because
that's nice.
it's so rare that people will give feedback, at least
That's true.
in Dubai it wasn't really
that's true.
always the case.
Yeah.
And the teacher never knows. So, and then sometimes I think people's faces can be very misleading, because a lot of people, when they are focusing, their face looks like they are annoyed
Exactly.
a little bit. So you're like, okay, I'm not sure what's happening there.
Yeah, and depends on the class as well you've been teaching. Like if you've been giving like a really intense vinyasa flow, and then after that you give people the time to rest in shavasana, they can come out like pretty dizzy or totally in a different world or whatever. So never judge on people's faces. Never judge on people's faces. You know? And but you have to be grounded. It's the same as in the lineup. You know, like surfing can be pretty, like, people will not smile at you. People will watch you, like, what is she doing? What is she catching that wave? So there's always like people that are watching you. So you have to be strong. You have to be grounded. Like, hey, this is me. I'm doing my best. If you don't like it, as long as I don't hurt anybody.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a really, really good way of thinking. I think in all life, a lot of the times we think that people judge us, and then sometimes they're just in their thoughts, and then they are just looking at us, but they are not looking at what we are doing. But in our mind, it's like, why is he or she looking at me? Like, what is happening? And then
and
there's nothing behind.
Exactly. And the thing is, when you know, like when you're teaching, you know what is going wrong for your feeling. Like, oh, I said this and I should have said that. The people on the mat don't know it. So as long as you keep it, like if you're in a flow class, you keep it flowing. If you're in a yin class, you know, just make sure that you're not like, oh, I just made a mistake. You know, you get used to like, okay, that wasn't maybe the best thing to say, but next time I will improve. You know?
Yeah. Did it happen with you that you forgot the asana?
I forgot so many things. Even with, especially when I started teaching, like I had to put my toes like curled to remember, like, okay, this is the left side. We're working on the left side now. So if we change, like with Surya Namaskar, okay, I have to curl my toes up. So can you imagine when you're focusing on that, like how difficult it is to get like a fluent sequence out of your mouth? it's nice and it's good if people are open to that, and you are open to some comments, and because it's good when people say like, okay, I like this and this, but maybe you could improve in that. Be open to it. Don't feel like it's people want to put you down, but they only want to like
lift you up.
lift you up. Definitely.
That's very true. I was when I was studying for the personal training exam, I was doing personal training sessions with one of my friends, and she was the type like who would always give me feedback, but straightforward feedback from the heart.
Yes, exactly.
And then at first I was like, oh, it's early morning, I don't know if I want to hear that, but then I knew that this is the only way I can learn, because every single person will be different, and I need to be open to people giving me feedback, because this is how you actually learn long term. But then also talking about beginners, what would you say if someone never tried yoga and they think that it's not for them because they are not flexible and they feel like they would never be able to do any asana?
I would say just try, just get on the mat, feel how it feels, and never ever worry about how it looks like. I mean, like the social media spread some other image, unfortunately, because there are a lot of like, you know, like the beautiful yoga poses, but you never know where people came from. And you know, yoga isn't about flexibility. It's about flexibility in your mind. I would say yoga is all about flexibility in your mind, and that means like just try. And when you try, don't worry about how it looks like, but just, you know, tune into your body, see how it feels for you, and if it feels good, book another class. And then book another class and book another class. Don't worry about how it looks like. And even if you're not flexible, you know, like yoga is also about building strength, just being with yourself, you know, like asking yourself, what do I need today? What do I want today? How am I today? Paying some attention to yourself so you can be a better person for the outer world as well after you step off the yoga mat. And there are a lot of really, really flexible people. I can't generate all the flexible people, of course, but I see that like really, really flexible people are also lazy yogis, because for them it's really easy to forward fold. For them it's easy to, you know, get the legs spread. But then when the strength comes in with the arm balances, with the inversions, they will have a harder time. So, and then the good yoga teacher comes up, I guess. And if you can see that, like, okay, she is just leaning into that flexibility, but if we do strength poses, where can we build his or her strength? How can we build that up? So that is, I think, the goal for a yoga teacher, to work together, not to be pushing your own, like, okay, that girl needs to be more strength, that guy needs to be, no, because you're working with bodies, and always ask, like, what is their goal? What do you want to reach? And build from there.
Nice. And in terms of combination, would you suggest to just do yoga? Because I can see like you are also combining it with surf, you're combining it with other exercises as well. Do you think, and it might be a tough question for a yoga teacher, but do you think yoga is enough as an exercise?
It depends on the person, I think, because for me yoga isn't enough. I need the surf, I need also movement. So I like running, which is actually contradictory by practicing yoga, because running shortens the hamstring, shortens the calves. But it makes me strong, and I like running, like putting on my sneakers, and then going to the beach, have a run. Not here in Sri Lanka because that is too warm, but I need that movement too, and especially with the surfing. So I think I would say like yoga is a good base for any kind of sport you're doing. So And you have to do it out of passion or fun or whatever, because with everything I say, like, if you don't like it, don't do it. If you're not getting like the fun out of it with movement, exercise or whatever, unless the doctor tells you like you have to. But yoga, like I teach yoga in an elderly home, and we use the chairs, and these people are not flexible at all anymore. They have like the hunchback, and they're old, and they're like, but they so enjoy it, like, because the energy of the group is really cool. There is some movement in the body, and yeah, they feel really good with it.
So I think that's the most important.
Exactly.
One last question: what is it you love the most about yoga?
What I love the most about yoga, that is, wow, you saved the the best one for the last question. I would say yoga is like home to me, like the home as in the yoga shala. It gives me the feeling that I have a roof on top of me. It protects me, but it has the open side, which gives me the breeze. So in that small little house of yoga, I have a feeling of perfectly freedom, and it helped me survive so many difficult circumstances in my life by starting to breathe. So if I would say like the best thing about yoga is, I think, the breath that combines, that offers that bridge between the mind and the body. And if you can work with the breath, then you are the strongest person in this world.
Thank you so much for your time, Linda.
Thank
Really
you
enjoyed it.
for having me. Thank you so much.
And yeah, I think it's time to rest a little bit after your surf.
Yes.
And yeah, well, we will see each other very, very soon.
Definitely.
Thanks so much again.
Thank you so much for your lovely questions.